vocabulary from Mexico is always ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo te ha ido?
Oh yeah.
Saludos.
Jules, did you go live on IG?
Mando una feria.
Yeah, but you hit that go live on there. So you see that on your top left, your tab. There's an Instagram tab there.
Hey, last year one
On
of my
your browser.
clients, was pregnant and she just had her baby. I met her yesterday, and the
Yeah,
baby
no,
like she
but
saw
you
me and
click
she
go
was
live
like,
on
I'm
Instagram.
like, oh, ya me conoce.
So look at the tabs. You on your browser?
How many months?
No, not on.
The baby, she's
Not on
like,
StreamYard. On the tab, for you to like switch your website.
man,
See how there's Instagram
like
there?
4 months.
Yeah, and you see it on
Baby,
Instagram. It says
baby,
go live.
she's cute.
Click it real quick.
Yeah, you have to get it.
Okay,
Yeah.
now you're good.
She's like, I want you to
Instagram
be
is a
my
little bit
mommy.
different. You got to do it twice.
We'll see, ya me conoce. She knows my voice.
Thank you, Itzy. You see, Itzy does a great job. Want to give a shout out to Itzy before we get started. She's a great realtor here at Lionsgate Realty. Hit her up for any buy, sell, or rental here in the Houston area.
So technically, can you call yourself a realtor before you have any closings or after you have a closing?
I mean, you are a licensed realtor,
Okay.
so yes,
Making sure.
legally you can. I mean, those are the guidelines.
Okay.
On your team, is it something different? I mean,
No.
your brokerage is it different?
I'm asking. I'm asking.
Oh no, I was asking.
General,
as
general
well.
public.
Whoa, we're gonna start
Man, we
this
got
podcast
some- we got-
spicy today or what?
Yeah,
What
for
happened?
Hey, we got-
real.
we
We're all doing OMAD today. That's
Hey,
crazy.
we got Josue, dude. He's on live, bro.
Who?
Josue.
Fue el operativo como
Which
piso
was
operativo.
Oh, our boy.
Elvira's on live.
Joshua, yeah, our boy.
Joshua.
My boy
Hi,
Joshua. What's
Elvira.
up, Joshua?
My boy Joshua,
And his
his operatives.
operatives. Yeah, my boy Joshua and his operatives. Shout out
Hey,
to my boy.
shout out to Vanessa.
To who?
Vanessa.
Okay, well, we're not gonna do a live of shouting out everybody who joined, so we're
Hey,
gonna go ahead
I'm
and start
gonna
now.
shout out everybody who joins this live right here, bro. Because I'm trying to
That
get.
is-
For your 2 followers that are watching.
I'm trying to get Vanessa. I'm trying to get Vanessa to come on the podcast again.
Who are? Oh, hey, she was great.
She has to
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, she has to come back.
Vanessa,
Please come back.
she was on here with Shay, right?
Mhm.
Shay,
Yeah.
yeah, they did great that time.
They
Was
did.
Eli on there on that podcast? Or
I
No.
don't remember. I don't
No,
think
it was only them two.
Yeah, but I mean that was it's one of our
It's a good
better,
stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
one of our better podcasts for sure. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and jump.
so. Flor steady beefing with Eli.
Hey, take it easy. We're live, bro. We're live.
Man, Eli's not on yet, bro.
We're
So I'm gonna
best
beef with him.
What are you talking about? We're
Yeah,
best
so-
friends.
All right, go for it. Go
What
for
is
it.
at every
Kick- kick-
event?
Kick it off, bro. Kick it
What
off.
is at
Go.
every event that
Go.
Eli
Come on,
throws?
kick it off, man.
I'm
Let's
the
go.
star producer.
All right, guys. You know what's funny? Nobody here has even been drinking so far. I mean, Nate had his first shot, so we're actually pretty sober right now, and we're hangry. So we're gonna go ahead and start this podcast. Today's topic, pretty much really just about realtors. That's why we have a full house of Lionsgate Realty here today. Everybody's gonna be a realtor. We're talking about professionalism as an entrepreneur, and then of course also what's going on with the lawsuit with the DOJ trying to completely separate buyer and seller commissions. We're gonna dive deep into that and see what we think about that here in Houston. Will it affect us? Will it not affect us? Is going to get rid of most of the realtors like how we've been hoping for the longest. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into it and let everybody else introduce themselves. Starting off with Flor.
This is Flor Velasquez with Lionsgate Realty. You can find me. It's Flor Velasquez Realtors in all my social medias. And I'm the Spanish podcast host, Houston Sin Límites. Follow us on YouTube.
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 So I'm Nate Balderas. I'm with Lionsgate Realty. I'm master broker for Lionsgate Realty, and you can find me on Better Call Nate on Instagram and on all other social medias.
Hi guys, I'm Andres Castro. I'm a realtor here at Lionsgate Realty. You can find me on Instagram as Andres_2020.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to HBR. My name is William Gonzalez. I'm a realtor here with Lionsgate Realty. You can find me on Instagram as realtor.william.
You know what? I want to commend William real quick because he always takes the chance to at least say what podcast we're on, which I forget, and I'm the host of it. So he always makes a mention of it. Really want to give him a shout out. I appreciate that.
What's the name of my podcast?
My podcast is HBR, Houston
Okay.
Business and Real Estate.
Okay.
Again, that is my podcast name. It is being hosted on Lionsgate Realty. It's HBR powered by Lionsgate Realty,
Yeah.
guys. We always do have a full back and forth.
I'm just confused
have
how
a
it
great
belongs
side.
to Giovanni, and it's in my office. It's hosted by
Well,
Lionsgate
it's,
Realty. It's hosted, okay, go ahead.
It's the talent. I mean, the cameras could be on
All right,
and
go ahead.
nobody talks, right?
All right, get into
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, I am the podcast.
Get into it.
Yo soy el
Yeah,
artista.
I am the podcast podcast here,
Go
bro.
ahead and get to a little subject. Go ahead, man.
Go do your own little solo career. See what
Yeah,
happens.
bro, little subject is crazy, bro.
What is it?
I don't know.
Little subject is crazy.
Oh,
bro.
yeah, no. So go ahead, jump right into it. What do you guys think about professionalism as an entrepreneur? I know that we talk about professionalism in the workplace. A lot of people think that we're talking about just your regular 9 to 5, your corporate jobs. There is rules and regulations that you have to abide by, especially by going to certain companies. If you're representing Bank of America or one of the big, what is it, the big three, right? If you're in accounting, banking, or even inside of like tech right now, they have a more of a lenient kind of dress code for themselves. But what do you guys think about professionalism as an entrepreneur, especially as a realtor? So there are things that we're starting to see online now because that engagement is going down. We're
Mhm.
starting to see a lot of realtors play the clown
Yeah,
on
definitely.
like Instagram or even YouTube too, Facebook, whatever it may be. TikTok, I mean, that's been going on since TikTok was started, right? But what do you think about that?
I think that there's definitely dress and groom is super important whenever you're working in real estate, right? Or when you're selling homes. I think that the shock factor, right? Um, you know, at first, whenever social media started doing all this stuff, with the showing homes with tight clothes and with short skirts and doing all this crazy stuff to attract attention. Everybody's starting to get bored of it, so people are sinking lower and lower and lower to get these views and get these likes and get these people to engage with their social media, and it's getting out of hand, in my opinion.
So do you think that clout equals an amount? Do you think that people can make sales from getting their clout? Not necessarily what happened 2, 3 years ago. I'm talking about our current housing market moving forward. Do you think that building up enough clout, whether that be having 10,000 followers, 1 million followers on IG, do you think that that's going to generate sales how it was in the last 2, 3 years?
So the thing that I understood a long time ago, right, is that the person that is known the most is the person that lives on in this game, right, in this business, right. When I started in real estate, the person who had the most listings, right, or who you saw more on HAR, that was the person that was deemed the most successful in real estate, right, and it correlated with success because they had a lot of listings, or they were doing a lot of closings. Unfortunately, that same I guess formula doesn't translate well onto social media, because you see realtors, you see people who are super popular on Instagram, super famous, local celebrities, even some of them, right, but their numbers don't add up on their or on HAR on their closings. So unfortunately, they've chosen the route of just being an influencer versus being a real estate agent or being a closer.
So in that, I think that for us, people that are in the same industry, we can see that those numbers don't add up. But for other people, that are, watching, that have no background
Yeah,
on real estate, for them, the numbers do add up.
yeah,
So honestly, I do think that I mean, it affects. And of course, they're going to keep on having, probably not the same volume of sales, but they're going to keep on being, present in front of other people's faces. Because, I mean, if somebody keeps on popping up in your feed, what are you going to think? Oh, no, like, she's working. She's working.
she's super successful. She
Exactly.
knows what she's doing. Yeah.
Exactly. So for people that doesn't know the industry like the way we do it, I mean, yeah, they're gonna think that they're super successful because they don't have like the resources to probably
To-
check on somebody's numbers.
So look at the back end, yeah. Well, I think what you're talking about is more on the actual realtor side, like new realtors coming into the business. Do you think that that is actually going to affect the psyche of people who are buying and selling? Because I am on the position where I don't think that the clout no longer converts to an amount, a dollar amount no longer. That's falling off because people are starting to have to get even more and more crazy on what they're doing, showing their butt off on IG, not their physical butt, right? But showing themselves off on IG, doing something crazy to get the likes and the follows, and they think that's going to convert. And I'm completely saying that that's going to go away, especially what we're moving into on our second half of the podcast here.
Man, honestly, I don't think it's going to completely go away. I mean, at the end of the day, social media internet, is the new trend, is the new generation's trend. So really, like, I think is just the way of, or the matter on how you're going to present and be, try to approach your clients in social media, that is going to make the difference.
Well, the thing about it, right? And once again, right, because I did cold calling when I started in sales. My first sales job was literally cold calling, and what I was trained to do, or what they told me, it says, hey, or the name of the game right here is to introduce yourself to everybody. You're never going to sell somebody on a phone. All you're doing is introducing yourself, and you're getting the person to know your name, your company, and what you do, right? And social media has fast tracked that. It has made it. I mean, you could literally do a video and do exactly what cold calling does to a mass audience. If they look at if they look at your your Instagram, or if they're following you,
Yeah,
right?
but how you present yourself in that video is one to me is what makes different from other realtors, because that's basically that's how social media works for me
Mhm.
personally. Like, I present myself in a video being professional, like, not talking crap or anything. And whenever I go to meet my clients for the first time, I mean, they know that I'm going to be professional with them.
You establish a sense of respect for
Yes.
yourself already.
Yes, like, if, like, let's say if somebody comments, like, puts a comment that it's like not appropriate for me, I'll either delete the comment, or just like not answer all, because I don't want to see my audience that I get engaged, in those type of comments.
Yeah, that's true. I just want to add on real quick. When I went to go show some rentals not that long ago, I went to go show it for someone, and I was actually in a suit that day. When I was showing the rentals, I was meeting up the client for the first time. I was in a suit. I presented the house very well. As soon as I finished the showing, there was another couple there, and they were waiting for the showing for their agent, and they told me, "Hey, are you this person?" I'm like, "No, I'm this person's agent." They were like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Are you here with an agent?" And then they told me, "Yeah, he texted me right now that he's here." And I saw somebody walking. I was like, "Is it him?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, that is him." And then I heard them. They were like, "Man, I wish our agent dressed as well as he did." And that agent pulled up his sweatpants and a hoodie with running shoes, like he just came from the gym or something. And I heard that from the back end, and I was just smiling. I was like, "Yeah, I'm representing Lionsgate," you know.
So so I said that one time, right? Because I get a lot of heat from people because I always wear a suit, right? And I tell them, it's something that's been ingrained in me since I started in sales. Because when I started in sales, they literally forced me to wear a white button-up shirt. They said anybody who wears at that time, statistics showed that if you wore a white shirt, you were deemed as I guess um, you were deemed as trustworthy, right? And so I always wear a white shirt, button up shirt to this day, you know. And I always wear if I don't have a suit, I have a sports coat. I always wear dress shoes, right? And that was because that was ingrained in me. Even the cell, at the time, they said, hey, within 6 months you have to own a car that's no later, older than 3 years. And I was like, wow, I mean, this is crazy. Like, I don't think I could do that. But it took me those 6 months and years to figure out what they were trying to do, why they were telling me these things, why I was getting into this mindset, right? And it's because you have to be presentable, you have to be professional. And I just don't see that anymore. Everybody thinks that dressing in a t-shirt and jeans and doing all these things is deemed successful, right? Oh, I woke up at 12 o'clock in the evening, and I'm in a t-shirt, and I'm a computer, and I'm successful. I'm day trading, whatever, right? And okay, if you want to wake up at 12 and you want to dress in jeans and a t-shirt, at least have that fortune that the people that do that have. Like, oh, Mark Zuckerberg wears hoodies all day. Mark Zuckerberg's a billionaire. You're not Mark Zuckerberg. Like, you get your butt up, put on that dang suit, and get your butt out there and work and introduce yourself into you no longer have to. And a lot of people don't understand that.
You know what? That's very true what you're saying, and I don't necessarily want to beat a dead horse, because I feel like this is something that we've talked about at least once a month.
Mhm.
This topic comes up, especially about
Yeah.
the way people's appearances,
Yeah.
right? Especially here in Houston,
Yeah.
especially here. because it gets hot and people are too lazy to put on a suit or they don't want to sweat. Like, bro, you just got to be in the, so you're in the AC 90% of the time. Like, you're not out there walking houses that don't have no AC most of the time. Every now and again, you got to show some investors, right? But they understand why you're sweating and you're sweating through your suit. You wear a suit that it's one of your beaters, right? But just to double down on that point, if you are somebody who shows, for example, like just Land and Ranch, I think it's okay to show up as what is considered professionalism for that area, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in Land and Ranch, I mean, of course, they're not going to expect you to be in red bottoms where there's nothing but mud, right? Where you're showing the ranch, where you got to walk 20 feet worth of mud. You can show up in your cowboy boots, or you can show up in your mud boots, right? But it's the way that you carry yourself along with the way that you present yourself. Go ahead, Flo.
I think at the end of the day, even though if like myself, I am like from a ranch realtor. So if I know that I'm gonna show ranch, I'm gonna show acres. I mean, I'm still gonna go dress professionally. How is that gonna show? I mean, maybe mud boots or like cowgirl boots. In my environment, that's what fits in that moment.
Yeah.
But there's some other a lot of realtors that will show up to your clients showings or whatever, like just basically the way we just woke up this morning. And I have clients that have come to me as referrals where they tell me and say, hey, I was working with somebody else, and this person was never professional, like neither the way they spoke, neither the way they dress. So I mean, that just makes all of us like look bad.
No, definitely. And I think what ends up happening with a lot of realtors, right, whenever it comes to that not being professional, is because there's such a low bar to entry here. And then not just as a realtor, but also there's a low bar to entry for some brokers, especially the way that broker carries himself. It comes from the culture or what you see others do. Your realtors are going to imitate your team leader or your broker, right?
Yeah.
Again, whenever I came into this company, the one thing that Nate always told me is always have a blue blazer in your car somewhere in your trunk, even if it gets wrinkled, just have it there because you never know when you're gonna get called. I remember one time I was showing one of my friends a house. I had been showing them a lot of houses. I was a new agent, showing them like probably around 10 at that time.
Oh
right?
my god!
I know, but I was a brand new agent, and it was a friend of mine. I don't do that no more. So if I'm showing you houses right now, you get your 5 and make a decision. But I was showing my friend, right, and he called me on the phone while I was at the gym. Like, hey Giovanni, can you come show me this house? I'm down the street, man. And it was down the street from the gym where I was at. I was like, yeah, I pulled up, threw on that blazer and freaking basketball shorts and a tank top, and I showed that house in that, and he got that house. So it's worth for you to carry that around.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you some form of professionalism.
And you'll be surprised how a blue blazer will dress up anything, literally, like even shorts and a t-shirt, but also another thing too, I always say this story, right? Like, I come from a modest background, right? A modest background and from Old Baytown, right? And we I don't like to use the word poor. We're modest, right? We just a very not a, my father and my mother didn't make a lot of money, right? But one thing was that we're always clean. If you look at pictures of me, I was always clean. I always had clothes. It might have been secondhand Ralph Lauren, but I had it. My mom was really good at looking for that stuff. And so I always look at that. Like, we were always clean. We were always eating well. We were always taken care of. And so whenever I have real estate agents, they come into this business, and I tell them, hey, you know what? I really need you to dress better. I need you to cut your hair, and when they come in, really raw, we're not gonna say, hey, tomorrow you need to do this, right? We're like, hey, look, start working towards grooming yourself, cutting your hair, getting that suit, getting that sports coat, whatever it is that you need to get. Clean your car. You don't have to have a brand new car. Have a clean car. You know what I'm saying? If you show up to a listing and your car is dirty, your car is wrecked, your car is I'm not throwing shade at you. I'm not throwing shade. She just wrecked yesterday. It was a brand new
Her car is not wrecked. It
car.
got in a wreck.
It
got in a wreck.
Well, you know what? But that makes sense. Like, there's actually, I've seen real estate agents that drive around in a wrecked car for months, a year, and it's like, bro, like, you don't have insurance, So when you pull up to a home and your car is wrecked and you're not getting it fixed, what does it say about you? It says that you're not responsible. It says that you don't have insurance. It says that you're not the type of person that takes care of himself, that cleans his car, that cares about his grooming, that cares about any of that stuff. So what can you really give, your client? if that's the type of person you are.
And what a lot of people don't understand, right? At the very beginning, when you're a new realtor, all you have is the way you present yourself
Yes.
and how you look.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not extremely knowledgeable. It doesn't matter what you've been doing. If you've done 10,000 flips, if you're doing buy and sell, it doesn't necessarily mean that you understand the process of what the buyers and the sellers are going through because you did 10,000 flips. It doesn't mean anything. And then if you've never been involved in real estate whatsoever, all you have is the way that you dress and how you present yourself to give your clients confidence in you, right? Everything else is going to come from what your broker is teaching you. But at the bare minimum, present yourself properly and dress nice.
William, you are like one of, fairly new agent still. How do you feel, or what do you think about the way like you were dressing at the beginning and now that you dress like really professional? Like, how do you feel like?
How was I dressing in the beginning?
No, 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 like, more like to your age.
To my age?
Yes, and now like you wear like suits more often.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
Do
think
you-
we should point out the fact that William is young. So,
yes, he is like really young. He's like 20. How old are you? Yeah,
Yeah.
like 20. So you were dressing, more appropriate to your age. Now you're dressing like in suits. Do you feel like your own clients respect you more because you dress more professional?
Yes, I do. Because if I was to show up to showing appointments, listing appointments, or any type of showings at all, with the way I dressed at first, I would dress in jeans and a t-shirt and dunks all the time.
What's
Jordans.
what's the name of those jeans that you wear?
Rock Revivals. Hey,
My son is into
hey,
that.
that's like, bro, that's the Hispanic version of True Religion,
Oh,
bro.
that's what I was going to say. Those are like truths,
That's
right?
like true
Yeah.
religion,
Terrible,
bro.
duh.
They're
But-
expensive. They're not that cheap either.
But yeah, like I would dress at first, I would dress in t-shirts. I would dress in some of them were polo shirts, but they were like crew neck shirts. And I got told, man, if you're gonna wear like a t-shirt, at least wear a polo, like the button-up polos. So I started doing that very little by little, but I realized that button downs were the way to go even more to become more professional, like to look more professional. And yeah, that's when I started getting more into suits. As I was more in there, as I was meeting more people. What made me actually want to wear suits more is what my mentors told me: your appearance matters a lot, and it does, because if I've gotten into these meetings before where with them, and if I were to show up how I did at first with like regular t-shirts and ducks, yeah, I would have looked like a fool in front of everybody, honestly. So, I think like if you're new, like if you're just gonna start to come in here, like I would suggest to actually start dressing professional, not dress like your age.
No, and something,
This is-
one thing that I want to make this point real quick before I let you go. One thing that most realtors don't even take into account is the fact the way that you present yourself on social media says a lot about you. So whoever's making me a lowball offer, an offer that I don't like for my client, the moment that I see your profile on Instagram, I'm gonna let my client know, like, hey, yeah, you know what? They're a realtor who hasn't been around that long. They don't even present themselves
Said, dude,
professionally. We're gonna eat their lunch, so let's get the most that we can out of them.
That dude's
'Cause
a
I know they're not
clown.
gonna do it. Yeah, they're a clown, bro. Like, look at him, look at him, look at his haircut. You know what I'm saying? So, what were you gonna say, Flo?
I was gonna say that that what William just said. That is a great advice for like young realtors or barely getting into the industry that don't know where to start. Start by dressing professionally.
And talking professionally. I
That too.
mean, there's some realtors that come in here and every other word is the F word, every other word is it's like, oh, I'm sitting here listening. I'm like, God, like, come on, bro. I mean, you really have to say the F word for every single emphasis. I mean, it's terrible.
Not just that, speaking with another realtor too, who's not inside of your brokerage. It's funny you said it because I just had a call with another realtor from somewhere else who made an offer, and everything else was the F word. And I was like, bro, we're not even like having a confrontation. You're calling me to let me know that there was an offer made. Why are you cursing right now? I answered my, yes, sir, no, sir. Yeah, no, you know what? I always respectfully, especially as a realtor, right? Because the moment that you need to bring out the aggression is whenever things aren't going your way. There's no reason to be throwing F-bombs or cursing on the phone. Speaking with another realtor, to me, it just shows that you're not professional.
Yeah, definitely.
Same.
Especially if you sound like you just woke up. Don't do that. Take about 15, 20 minutes. Even if you just did wake up, take about 15, 20 minutes, do some vocal exercises. Don't sound like you just woke up before you call me. Because so if you're at 2:00 in the afternoon and you were in bed, yeah, no, that's not gonna work.
You're not making.
I had a realtor tell me one time that people that cuss, it means that they're really intelligent, or that they're really high. I don't even remember what exactly he was telling
high
me.
IQ.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm like, bro, that's I heard that people that cuss is because they have a low vocabulary. They don't know how to express themselves, so they use a cuss word for every sentence that they use.
I
But
mean, unless it's part of your character, something that we talked, and I'm not talking caricature, right? If it's part of your mascot or a character that you're playing, not necessarily who you personally are, but if you're playing something on IG or something like that, right? Of course, that's funny. You know, that's a mascot who you're presenting to the world to get clients. But the way that you present yourself to other people, it should not be cursing every
yeah,
other word. Yeah, there is definitely a level to it. So now that we've talked about professionalism, I want to talk about how a lot of these realtors who are unprofessional are definitely going to be dropping out of this business if this goes through what the DOJ wants to do. I'm not sure if you guys are up to date, but you can find this article on Inman. They're talking about how the last lawsuit that went through, where we're talking about how you have to disclose what the realtor is going to get paid on the buying side. Now the DOJ is saying, which is on the federal level, that that's not enough for them. So now they're fighting with NAR about that, and they're saying that it has to be completely negotiated separately. Do you think that's going to make a big splash in this industry?
um,
Get a lot of people out of here?
so you know what? I'll let everybody else go before I give my opinion.
Flor?
Man, I do think so. I think that especially buyers, agents, a lot of them are gonna be like struggling because I mean it's not easy to find clients, to find your leads. Plus, imagine like to have to on top of that to have to fight for your own commission basically. I mean to have to negotiate for your own commission when there's clients that are struggling to pay a 3% down payment. Where are they going to get the money to basically pay a buyer's rep?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that's interesting about this is that FHA there's dabblings and there's you know saying around it that they're considering financing the buyer's commission, right? They're considering it. It hasn't gone through, but FHA is considering, especially for first time home buyers. Now, if that happens, I mean, that has nothing to do with the appraisal, anyways. So that means that the seller has to agree to it, whether it gets financed or not, because the appraisal is still there, unless they make it another side loan outside of the value of the home, which I think that's a dangerous game that we're playing. Then it goes back to kind of like what happened during the last housing crisis. I think what's going to end up happening, really, we're going to be settling is that the seller is going to go ahead and negotiate the buyer's commission 100%, meaning that you're going to pay your listing agent whatever it is. And then whenever you make an offer, when the buyer's agent makes an offer, they're going to have their commission that they want to earn. And then the seller's going to say, okay, I'm willing to pay that or not. And if they don't want to, it doesn't matter. I think that's where it's going down to.
Wow, I mean that really puts all of us in disadvantage. Not only the like.
What do you guys think?
Man, I had to agree with what Flo said. Honestly, like literally, like it's not easy to get clients. It's not easy to get leads and stuff like that. And for you to have to fight for your own commission, it's just gonna put a lot more on your plate. So,
Andres?
Um, I think it's gonna make it a very difficult game for a lot of the new realtors that are starting off. Um, it will be a lot of learning to do, especially it's gonna be very challenging in a variety of ways. For one, you're gonna start getting these realtors that are gonna start presenting themselves these know-it-alls on social media, and these buyers are gonna fall into these traps. If right now we have how it is, where it's already pre-negotiated in the way, like the seller already agreed to being paid. It's already difficult as it is for a buyer to find a reputable, good agent. I can only imagine how bad it's gonna get after.
Yeah.
And from there on forward, as a new agent trying to come into and break ground and make a reputable brand is gonna be damn near hard, like impossible. So once if that was to happen, I mean, I can only see the really well-known, reputable agents making it and surviving far, and the new agents are just gonna
Yeah.
have to ride it out or just drop out the game altogether.
And I agree with him. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say that unfortunately, this is only going to affect new real estate agents. It's going to affect people trying to come into the business now, and it's going to make brokers powerful. We're going to, I mean, we see it all. We can do everything here. I mean, people are going to line up to do business with us and our team, and it's gonna be really bad. And you know what? Honestly, I'm happy that it's happening because all this stuff that's been happening with all these new realtors coming in, all this freaking clown stuff, all this freaking team leader stuff, all this social media realtor mentor BS stuff. They're the ones that caused all these problems. Because before that, we were making money, having fun. I mean, I'm still making money, but back then, you know how much money that we lose. As I lose as a brokerage to an agent that's only been in the business 6 months just because they look good or because they're funny or because they have a great following. I mean, it's crazy.
So I think this is definitely going to impact social media heavily. Now, whenever I say that, I'm talking about you're no longer going to get an influx of buyers coming in through your social media. Your social media, the way that I see it moving forward, if that does happen, if it does pass, is going to be that you're making a social media to nurture your clients, to kind of remind them, hey, I'm here, but it's not going to be somewhere for you to farm clients, right? You're going to have to build some kind of reputable brand still, and it's going to be on social media. You're going to have to let people know, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm showing the work. I'm not showing the after party once the work is done. I'm showing you what I'm doing, and what happens afterwards, I'm keeping that to myself.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's going to switch for social media.
Yes.
Two of the things that I do see happening here is going to be the older brokers and older realtors who are almost ready to get out of the game. If that does pass, they're going to get out of the game completely because they're going to say, you know what, I don't want to learn how to negotiate in this new environment. And the new realtors is probably going to be damn near impossible for them to even get started in the business unless they're well backed.
I kind of disagree with you on that because I am seeing a lot of. I mean, I'm starting to see names that I haven't seen in years pop up again. And what I mean by that is, I said it earlier. I said back in the days there was no social media, but there were popular, famous local realtors. Why were they popular? Why were they famous? Because they got involved in the community. They had tons of listings. They were out there without social media, right? I'm starting to see these people pop up back in the game. Why? Why are they popping up in the game? Why do I have 20 listings and less than 2 months?
Well, I will.
Because we're getting back into the game and we're doing what we know best, and that's real estate. We're not good at Instagram at social media, but we're great at real estate.
But see, the thing is, right? You're not. I wouldn't consider you one of the older dogs, right? One of the old guards. You're still what you could say in your prime. You still got another 10 years you could do here.
2004 is pretty old, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about age wise. You still have
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
You still have enough left in you to where
Yeah,
you're willing to learn the new market.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about when you start or how long you have in the game. I'm talking about the older you are, right? So the older people who have been in the game for a long time, I think they're just going to be ready to bow out because you're going to have to learn a whole new way in order for you to negotiate. Yeah. It's a whole new thing. Imagine training the newer agents who come in how to negotiate.
Yeah.
Like in this market, it's hard to train them now. Imagine
training them now.
Yeah. Imagine doing that whenever this switches over, and then you're gonna have to start getting involved even more because now you got to make sure that your client buyer is not getting screwed, and neither is a buyer's agent getting screwed, right? And everything's gonna be held upon that negotiation from the very jump, and then the seller's gonna have to agree to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just gonna be whoever's left in the middle right now, who's willing to dog it out for another 5 years to learn how this is going to work. Those are going to be the ones who see it through.
Yeah,
I think
and it's going to be tough.
We're leaving out of the picture the ones that are going to be like affected the hardest if this goes through, which is the consumer.
Oh yeah,
which is
definitely.
like the buyers. I mean, imagine if you as a buyer have to pay for an agent and you have the opportunity to not get an agent and only use the seller's rep.
I'll be completely honest. I don't think. Well, I will say this: the consumer's gonna bleed for a good 5 years until this is figured out, right? If this does pass, 5 years from then, the consumer's gonna bleed. They're gonna suffer. But it's also they're the ones who put in these lawsuits.
Yeah.
So the consumer wants this to be changed. They're gonna suffer after the change. There's gonna be growing pains. But I think at the end it'll be better because all it's gonna do is take everybody out who shouldn't be in this business anyways.
Definitely.
So they're gonna hurt the next 5-10 years, or maybe 10 is probably too long. Maybe the next 5 years, right? They're gonna hurt because there's still gonna be people in this business who don't know how to work, and they're just trying to keep it going. They're gonna fall to some people who quote unquote they don't want to work with a realtor, but they're just there. Oh, now I don't got to pay him but $100. Okay, yeah, I'll pay him to do that, and you're gonna get screwed on your deal. People are gonna hurt for the next 5 years.
Let them
right?
have it.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones who they're shooting for this.
Mhm.
I've always said the way to fix this issue that we're having with realtors is to make it harder to get into this business.
Yeah.
Do an actual 2-year run, do an actual internship with a broker.
I
You know, I mean, we do that with some of our new realtors who we see potential in. We kind of throw them under somebody who has
Yes.
potential or who is leading the team, and they're kind of like their intern, and they learn from there. So I think that could have been fixed from there. But you know what happens? All the consumer sees is a dollar sign, and they don't know it's going to screw them in the long term.
Well, the thing is that, and you know, even new realtors don't understand that. And I don't just blame brokers. I blame real estate schools. I blame, you know, other real estate agents. You know, they go to these schools, they get their real estate license, and the real estate schools are like, oh, you know, shop your broker and ask for commission splits and ask for this and ask for this and ask for that, you know? And it's like, that's crazy. You know, when a realtor comes to me and says, hey, what's my commission split? What does it matter? You know, find out what you're gonna get here, you know? And the thing is that you know, there's a lot of brokers that just, it's a numbers game. Hire. You don't need a broker. You don't need a broker. EXP. You don't need a broker. You don't need a broker. Just come to me and we're gonna take care of everything. You know, and that's been the biggest culprit. You know, and so you know, just realtors don't care. You know, I think it's Keller Williams is one of the biggest ones, right? They don't care. They just want to hire people. They let them run out there, cussing up a storm on their freaking Instagram. You know, there's no regulations. You know, and that's honestly that's what really needs to be done. Regulations on Instagram, regulations on you know, on sales. You know, we need to, you know, double down on wholesalers and get rid of these clowns. You know, I mean, it's crazy.
Well, actually,
crazy.
they're the ones who are going to shine.
Yes.
Right. If this passes, right after that, they're going to make
Yes.
a killing, because that's going to pass and be like, oh, well, you don't need a seller's agent or a buyer's agent. I'm buying it, quote unquote, buying it
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah.
And then they're just going to go and sell it to somebody else for $50,000 more. And then the consumer, again, all they care about is the upfront number,
Yeah.
which is why I don't necessarily, whenever I'm listing a house, I don't explain it through percentages. I explain it through the hard numbers, right? Tell them this is how much you're going to clear. This is what it looks like. That's how I break down the numbers. I don't give them percentages because it's hard for people to understand what percentages, and then they think you're trying to screw them over, right? So you give them hard numbers the way I do it, because that's the way the wholesalers do it.
Yep.
You want to edit this much? Boom. Okay, cool. Now some realtors are going to pick up on that, and they're going to start doing, what is it? Is it a net listing? I forget the name.
Net listing, yeah.
And realtors are going to start becoming like quote unquote wholesalers.
Well, that's what wholesaling is. It's essentially
Mhm.
a net listing, and I just, you know, the more and more I look at wholesaling, I don't understand how they can do that without a license, but they can. I mean, it's kind of, you know, whenever I started seeing wholesaling, I was like, man, what did I get my real estate license for? Why did I become a broker if I can just do this? I could just make $100,000 off 2-3 deals, you know?
Because they're not representing anybody.
Exactly.
That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, and then, you know, and that's the sad part about it. You know, if you do too many net listings, or if you do a wholesale deal and you're a broker, right, or you're a real estate agent, it's really unethical sometimes, you know. And you know, you have to disclose, you know, because you could catch a lawsuit because it's deemed that you know more than everybody, right? But you know, these other people don't have a real estate license. They can steal pretty much. I mean, I've seen somebody make, you know, up to $100,000 on a wholesale deal. Now, don't run out and try to do wholesale deals, because those deals are a dime a dozen. Okay, and it takes people with
Especially in this market.
yeah, it takes people with nerve and that just, you know, that just doesn't care about.
Unscrupulous.
Yeah, that's
All
what-
about the numbers.
all
That's
about
it.
the numbers. Yeah, and there's not too many of those. I mean, they literally go in, make their money, and they dip because they have to hide from the people they've ripped off.
Yeah, the more downtrodden the person they're calling on the other side of the phone is, the bigger their smile is. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
And as a realtor, which again, I don't blame them. It goes back to the consumer. I always blame it on the consumer.
Yeah.
It's their fault for making these choices and for them having a bad taste in their mouth for realtors, right? Is the reason why I always try to present myself the way that I do, because I want you to be able to trust me as a realtor the way that I'm representing you, right? The reason why I like to do a lot of word of mouth, not word of mouth deals, but a lot of referrals. It works perfectly because somebody has already referred me to them, and they trusted me to handle their deal. So now the new client is trusting me too. But again, like I said, it always falls back on the consumer is the one who's going to hurt. It's also their fault, and the consumer is going to be the one who fixes it at the end of the day. They're going to see that a lot more people are getting screwed over if they go into this new model, and then they're going to want it disclosed from the very beginning, going back to percentages. It's going to go back and forth. That's just the way it always happens. The market corrects itself, and the consumer figures out what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys have anything else for today? This was actually a pretty short podcast.
I mean, the only thing I have to add to that, I'll add on to that, like how the buyer will end up paying for it is like, I mean, I work in construction as well, so the way I've seen it, like the way I see it is as these if that law was, I mean, if that case was to like win right, and it changes the whole game completely. The way I see it is like, if you're a client and you're looking for a contractor, like a construction contractor, is gonna we're gonna have the same issues where people are gonna be like, oh, I don't know who to call, and then you look up one, or like, oh, I saw this one on Instagram. You then you negotiate whatever they charge you, and who's to say they won't run up on you with that money? You know what I mean? There's not even regulation on that yet. How are they gonna control that? At one point, are they gonna change something to stop that? And then we're gonna come right back to it, like to our first topic, professionalism, and how you present yourself, and how well branded are you, and how well known. And it's just gonna be it can be a pro and a con depending how you want to look at it. For at least for the buyers, a lot of people are gonna be scammed out of this. There's gonna be agents that are gonna be like, oh yeah, I know everything. I'll do this for you. I'll do that, and I'll charge you this much. I'll charge you this less, and then they're gonna be cheated out of money.
What
You
I
never
do
know.
see, well, it's very true what Andres is saying. What I do see is a lot of these realtors who don't have their buyers' best interests at heart, especially if we switch over into this new way of doing things. There's going to be a lot of retainers being paid that
Oh, yeah.
they do not deliver on.
Oh yeah.
And then how do you go after them? Especially if you don't even have the money to pay for the closing costs, and you're charging a retainer up front. Your client, well, you think they're going to go through the trouble of getting a lawyer and then having to fight your broker and fighting your broker's lawyer, because they're not going to sue the realtor, they're suing the broker, because it's the broker who goes through and handles those, right? So I mean, that's going to be a whole another problem there.
Just gonna bring on like
Yeah, it's a bunch of problems going to be made.
So this all this has a lot of moving parts. You know what I'm saying? And it takes somebody who knows a lot about the industry to really understand it, right? This is not just realtors. This is title companies. This is lenders. This is everybody that has caused all these problems. Okay, so it was only a matter of time before they started doubling down and trying to take all this get all this stuff bring in these laws right now. I'm always gonna get my retainer. I'm gonna get paid. I know what I'm worth, and I know what I bring to the table. I never have trouble with my commissions. I'll tell them straight out, hey, this is what I'm making. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing for you. I'm worth what the work that I do. And so there's a lot of people out there like that. There's a lot of people out there like that. But the thing is this, I've been a broker since 2007. Okay, been in the industry since 2004. Okay, I have 50 something agents right now. Right, I always say, easy come, easy go. You have brokers that are 2 years into the business and they have 30, 40, realtors. I saw one broker 1.5 years into 100 realtors. Right, what can that person really do? I mean, I struggle with my realtors. Trying to give them the knowledge, trying to help them, trying to answer their phone calls. Trying to get their deals done. What can that broker, and I have managers, and I have set up the way it's set up for that we can be successful. What can these new brokers really offer these real estate agents? Nothing. Nothing but clout. Nothing but I'm popular. Nothing but let's take pictures. Nothing but look at us. We're freaking making it. We're freaking doing all these things. And once again, it just goes back to all these new brokers, new team leaders, title companies, wholesalers, even mortgage companies. There's some mortgage companies out there, these lenders that are just running around trying to get business, just marketing, right? They've all contributed to our industry losing its credibility, losing face, losing everything that it has lost. And shame on them.
Yep. Well, we'll see. This is gonna get dissolved. I mean, resolved, not dissolved. Yeah, we're hoping
Yeah,
it gets
both.
dissolved.
Yeah.
Both, yeah, right. It's gonna get resolved, and we'll see where this goes. For either way, I feel like we're situated in a position where we're here to learn and grow. Nobody here is old enough to want to leave and learn something new. we're all gonna double down and continue to focus our efforts on our clients. So that's great. If it does go through, I'm happy to see all of the bad realtors leave the industry so we don't continue to get a bad name. I'm Giovanni Frank, your local Houston realtor with Lionsgate Realty. We're going to go ahead and exit here. This is the HBR podcast. Again, we are live every single Wednesday at 7 o'clock until 8. I'm going to go ahead and let Floyd exit, and then everybody else can say, where they're at.
Flor Velasquez with Lionsgate Realty. You can find me as Flor Velasquez Realtors in all my social media and in YouTube as Houston Sin Límites.
All right, I'm Nate Valderas. I'm the master broker for Lionsgate Realty. You can always find me on all my social medias under Better Call Nate, but you can also find me on YouTube's Lionsgate Realty and our live podcast every Wednesday.
All right, guys, thank you for joining. Andres Castro, here, an agent here at Lionsgate Realty. You can find me at Andres_2020.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in at HBR powered by Lionsgate Realty. You can find me on Instagram as realtor.william. Tune in next Wednesday at 6 o'clock for the Spanish podcast and 7 o'clock for the English podcast.
All right, guys. Again, I am Giovanni Frank, your gracious host here at HBR. Until next time.